What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Good Morning Tottenham, a Sunday special for you guys as we got absolutely battered at Selhurst Park yesterday.
Call it a special?
Especially bad, yeah.
Yeah, especially.
Literally, I mean, we were there yesterday, and I don't think it could have gone more wrong than it did.
Yeah.
And, you know, the way I look at it is that Nuno just got it wrong completely from start to finish. Even the changes he made, well, maybe not the changes he did make, but the changes that he didn't make probably were another down point to him. But we were talking before we just got on air, and I think what you said was absolutely spot on. You said that he overthought the process of picking that team, and why Winks played, I have no idea. Mm-hmm. And it just didn't make sense to me, a lot of the decisions he made and the way we set up yesterday. I mean, we just got completely overrun by Crystal Palace, especially in that midfield. That midfield was non-existent from Tottenham with Skip and Winksy in the middle. I mean, Dele Alli, he's turned into a better centre-back than he has going forward. Literally, the challenges he was making in our box to like goal-saving challenges were absolutely phenomenal. But he's a better centre-back than he is going forward now.
Yeah, literally. And I don't know. I think Nuno... definitely, I think maybe he wanted to give the players who were not on international duty, and maybe he wanted to, he'd had time with them on the training ground, and maybe he wanted to give them an opportunity. But he definitely is guilty of overthinking that team selection. He had the opportunity to play exactly the same midfield three that he'd been playing in the other three games. There was no reason to change it. Oliver Skip was fit; he started the game, so there was no reason not to go with the midfield three of Skip, Dele, and Højbjerg when they'd been working quite well in tandem with each other throughout the season so far. Maybe not creatively, but a lot more creative than the other three games we did yesterday. He could have given Brian Hill an opportunity on the left wing. He decided against it. He decided to change it to kind of Dele and Lucas more like tucked in with Kane up front. And he also decided to change the back four a lot more, which that was the one where most people could probably understand, because we were Joe Rodon was lacking fitness and whatnot. Emerson had come in what was going to be our first choice right back, and to be fair, our back four, apart from maybe Emerson in the second half where he kind of got a bit destroyed, our back four was looking solid throughout most of the game before we're sending off.
Yeah, exactly. So I would say that we did look fairly comfortable in defence before Tanganga got sent off. Let's be honest.
Like, there was just too much change. Like there wasn't a reason. I can understand the change of the back line, but even that was still he's changing up quite a bit. But then why change midfield? And then because you're changing midfield, you're also changing the attack as well. And I felt like creatively, first of all, Winks, Højbjerg and Skip, they're all just such safe passes. None of them would do anything daring. Not just safe passes, but on the ball, dribbling wise, committing players, creating space. Just not there. Just wasn't there at all from the midfield point of view. If you're going to play that formation that we played yesterday, I think Ndombele has to be in the team. Has to be because otherwise we're just so stifled. And then it's like, okay, because those three midfielders are very narrow, and the attacking players are very narrow, you're relying on the wingers, the wing backs, to kind of create the width for us. And then in the first 10-15 minutes they were doing that quite well, but then once Zaha started to push us back, that was it. It was like we had no game plan to go forward, and we just were pretty much penned in from about half an hour into the game till the end of the game. We were pretty much penned in for the whole time.
And even in the latter parts of the first half, the last 20 minutes of the first half, Palace had all the possession. They were completely dominating us, which was hard to watch.
Yeah.
And then when we first started the second half, you thought, all right, we're getting into our rhythm now. Something's going to happen. And then Tanganga gets sent off.
Yeah,
But
Tanganga
still, we never had any clear-cut chances. The only shot we
No.
had was that Lucas Moura shot, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that was it.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. I think in terms of how the game was going before Tanganga got sent off, we were definitely second best. There's no doubt about
Yeah,
it. If
for
anyone was going to score, it was going to be Palace. However, I didn't feel like.
It was on its way to a 0-0, wasn't it?
Pretty much. I didn't feel like the game, like we were not in control of the game in the sense that, yes, Palace had a lot of possession and they were kind of peppering us a bit, but I didn't feel like they were about to open us up or anything like that. We kind of felt like it was under control, and maybe
Roden and Tanganga looked strong, didn't they?
I think Roden Tanganga had a really strong outings. Reguilon actually as well, I thought had a really good game throughout the game. I actually thought he played well. Maybe going forward he was especially. He could have done better, but I thought defensively he was pretty good. Emerson, I thought for the first half, I actually thought he was okay up until the last 5 minutes of the first half.
Yeah, first 15 minutes, I would say he looked good, and then
I think defensively for most of the first half he looked alright, and then right at the end of the first half he got spun by Zaha right at the end, and they created a chance, and then after that I don't know what happened. He started to lose confidence or whatever it is, and then all of a sudden and especially when we went down to 10 men, he found it very difficult to contain Zaha, which I understand because
that second half he had such a torrid time.
But when you're down to 10 men and when you're down to 10 men, you have to rely on your one-on-one battles. That's the only way you can win the game, because you can't afford to commit men to double up on certain players because you're leaving way too many holes in other places. If you're using other players to cover, you have to rely on your one-on-one battles, unfortunately. And Emerson was pretty much he was hung out to dry a bit in that system because they were down to 10 men, but on his debut as well, so it was difficult for him. But you were hoping maybe he could compete better against Zaha, but Zaha had him on toast pretty much.
Yeah, I thought he got absolutely destroyed in that second half, and I wasn't impressed with him going forward either. When I saw him go forward, I saw him kind of being a bit awkward on the ball. I saw him kind of not really attacking the wing back and really trying to take him on and really take him on at all, really. I think maybe he took on his fullback maybe 2 or 3 times without any success, not getting any crosses in the box, really. So I thought it was just a poor debut all round for Emerson. But look, I'm going to give him a pass because it is his debut, and his first game in English football, so it's difficult. We said it in our previews. We were saying that Emerson to come up against Zaha on his debut is going to be very, very difficult.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want it. I didn't want him to. And that's another thing. Roden came on and was pretty good. Yeah. I thought he played really well. Yeah. I know we ended up conceding 3 goals near the end, but it also goes to show that maybe he could have played Tanganga right back and brought Roden in. He could have started the game.
Of course, that's what we're saying. The Nuno was completely wrong in the kind of system he played. He brought in Winks to the midfield for no reason when Skip was there. Completely no reason. He should have brought in Ortungi or just left it the way it was with Dele, Højbjerg and Skip.
And have Hill there.
And the defence, he should have kept Tanganga where he is and put Roden there in the middle. And that's what he should have done. I mean, and instead of Sonny, he should have brought in Brian Hill.
Yeah, exactly. That's what he should have done. Maybe I'm just getting to Nuno's head. I reckon what he was thinking is he didn't want to start Hill, Kane, and Lucas because we know how Nuno likes his second half substitutes. He likes to have something in reserve to bring on and change the game late on. He done that a lot for Wolves, and I think he was thinking, if I start Hill, because we know Hill was about to come on before the red card. He was stripped off, ready to come on, and then the red card changed everything. So I think he was thinking was, I don't want to start them 3 because if it's not going well, I don't really have anything on the bench to change it going forward. And he doesn't want to use all his cards basically before the game. That's what I'm thinking. That's the only real excuse I can think of why he wouldn't start those 3. But I think he just got it horribly wrong because when Kane dropped deep, to try and receive the ball, there were no runners. Dele's not quick enough from that kind of position.
I hardly even saw Kane the whole game, to be honest.
Yeah, he was very difficult.
Was absolutely anonymous.
When he received the ball from deep, he didn't have any support. When he received it further forward, there was no one around him. He had 4 defenders each time, and there was literally no help. Lucas Moura, he did most of the creative work with his dribbling ability, but when he was past 3-4 players, I felt like there was also nothing there for him. Kane struggled in that kind of system. And then what happened was, because the fullbacks were tasked with providing the width, once they were penned back, like we had no width, and we were really badly struggling in those wide areas. And
Really
whenever
badly.
Winks or Højbjerg came over to support the wing backs, because Dele and Lucas, it didn't seem to be their role to support the wing backs. It seemed to be the centre mid's role to support the wing backs. And then all of a sudden, Conor Gallagher was getting a free run in the centre, and it was just all wrong. It was completely wrong. You've got to give credit to Palace, because I think the Palace of old, even with our setup, might have struggled a bit more because of how pragmatic they used to be, and they didn't used to be as comfortable in possession as they were yesterday. You could see yesterday, once we gave them encouragement, they were able to play out wide, create openings. Conor Gallagher was able to create openings. I do think most of their joy came out wide. I think through the centre defensively, even up until we conceded, I thought defensively we were pretty solid.
Yeah.
I think through the centre they were struggling to create, but once they got out wide, especially down Emerson's side, that's where they were getting all their joy. And to be fair, it took a really stupid penalty for them to get their first goal, and that really opened it up. And once they got their first goal, they're always going to go on and win. But from that aspect, I felt a bit sorry for Nuno, but I do think he got it completely wrong from his selection, and that's the main
for us.
The main reason why we weren't creative and weren't good going forward was because of his selection, I think, and that's why
his selection and his tactical setup as well. And
yeah.
And it was done. Patrick Vieira pretty much outdid him big time yesterday on that football pitch. And you got to give it to Palace because they played really well. They set up a possession-based style of football, which we haven't seen from them for a very long time, or if ever, Crystal Palace. And you got to give it to them because they played very well. They played us off the park, and they thoroughly deserved their 3 points. They really did. But you got to put all the blame pretty much. I would say pretty much 100% of the blame goes on Nuno yesterday, and going forward we were completely anonymous. It was all it was Kane. I hardly even saw Kane during the game, but every time he got the ball in the second half, like you said, he was crowded out. Lucas was fighting a losing battle, no support whatsoever, and it was just shocking.
We pretty much had two attackers pretty much up the pitch. Dele was trying as well, but I felt like he always got, because the midfield three, they got caught putting fires out on the wing. Dele kind of had to fill in the centre. He became like we had like 4 centre mids by the time the game was finished. Dele became an extra centre mid, and then we had the wing backs being penned back by Zaha and Ayew and whatnot. They were penning us back. We had no way out. We had no outlet. And it kind of was like Kane and Lucas against their whole defence, pretty much. That's what it felt like.
It was Kane and Lucas against their whole defence, and it was their whole attack against like 8 men at the back all the time.
Pretty much. And that's why when it was 11 against 11, I thought we were pretty solid. But once the 10, I think against 11 against 11, we weren't necessarily going to lose, but we definitely weren't going to win. But 10 versus 11, that's what lost us the game. We lost the game because
Ben Davies. I
think Ben Davies came on. I always thought it was a recipe for disaster having Davis against like Benteke and the like, but that's not how we struggled. He struggled because of that stupid handball he gave away. He had his arm out, and there's a handball at the end of the day. It's harsh because he's positioning his body to block the shot, and he kind of isn't aware of his arm position. But in this day and age, you have to be aware of your arm position, and it was out like that, hit his arm, and it wasn't like one of those near the shoulder. It was like bam on his arm. It's a penalty, and that's it.
And on Jaff, brilliant performance before the sending off, and obviously, but it's just unfortunate that sending off basically ruined the game for us.
Yeah,
if it
and for him, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, look, the game wasn't exactly going the best way anyway.
But you never know what would happen in the last half.
Yeah, you could have easily nicked a 1-0 or something like that.
But as we've seen with Tottenham, if just this season, we up our game in the last stage of the game, and things can very easily turn. If Hill comes on at that point, maybe we'll change the tactic, and maybe we actually go on and
maybe
we don't look.
But
we don't
still,
know.
The first 60 minutes weren't good enough. Nowhere near good enough from Tottenham.
No, but I'm saying the red card killed the game for us.
It did kill the game. It did kill the game. But it doesn't say we wouldn't have lost the game if it was 11-on-11, because it could have easily gone that way as well.
I wouldn't have been 3-0 if it was 11.
No, definitely not 3-0. That's for sure. Definitely the red card was a main factor in that. That's for sure. But what I was saying on Japhet Tanganga, he was having such a good game. And then that little bit, that inexperience really showed, didn't it?
It did. I think he got himself all rolled up with that incident with Zaha, and he let him get to his head, basically. And I think, we were singing Tanganga's name after the whole incident. They were singing Zaha's name, and then It was a rush of blood to the head from Tanganga. I think, you don't go in like that when you're on a yellow card. It's a late
2 minutes after you've had that yellow card.
You just
as
don't
well.
do that. It was such a stupid
You
late
need to have a
challenge.
calm head about you. And now he's out for Chelsea, puts us in an even more difficult spot. We
Yeah.
start the game yesterday with Tanganga and Dyer at centre-back. We end the game with Roden and Davis at centre-back.
Yeah, it's
that
ridiculous.
just tells you the whole story of the game, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I've got a bit of sympathy for Nuno, just because everything was it was basically as hard as possible in terms of how things conspired. Yesterday, Dyer gets injured very early on, red card, penalty. What can Nuno do about that penalty? He can't do anything. So, defensive point of view, the goals we conceded from defensively, I actually think we defended well and defense was pretty solid, and I think the defensive setup was good. But where I don't feel any sympathy is how poor we were throughout that game in possession, and how poor we looked. The quality on the ball was just non-existent, absolutely non-existent.
You can't
on the
play
pitch.
Crystal Palace and be dominated but that heavily dominated by possession. Forget the red card, Jeff. Forget the red card in the last half an hour. We were heavily dominated in possession before that. You cannot get that heavily dominated by Crystal Palace.
Yeah,
you can't do that.
Inexcusable.
That's not exactly. There's no excuses for that.
Yeah, and people can say we have injuries, or look what injuries we have: Romero, Lo Celso, all these people, whatever. But quite honestly, the first 3 games creatively, it's not been that different, especially in the first halves. Anyway,
if Jose Mourinho was our manager yesterday and we put that performance out against that team, everyone would be gunning for him hard. And I think Nuno's getting a pass at the moment because he's a brand new manager. It's his 4th game, and quite rightly so.
He should get a
quite
pass
rightly so.
now.
He should get a pass. But on the flip side, if that was a Jose Mourinho team and that Jose Mourinho performance, everyone would be gunning for his head right now.
Even if, remember when Jose first came into the job, we were scoring goals for fun. Remember, we beat 3-2 against West Ham, 4-0 against Bournemouth. Like we were scoring loads of goals early on. But Nuno, if Jose had the start Nuno had, 3-1-0 wins in a row, and we're saying, oh, it's good, but it's boring football, and he's just parking the bus, all that stuff. But
it's boring football so far this season.
It has been. I know the City game was exciting because we're up for a big game.
Because it was against City, that's why.
But the Wolves and Watford performances, let's be honest. I think Watford may be a bit different because I think we were always pretty much in control of that match. But but it was boring. We barely
only win that game 1-0 though.
I think we only really created chances in that game because we pretty much created them late in the game because Watford had to come out a bit to try and get a draw, and they left a lot of space for Lucas to run into as a sub, and he pretty much rinsed them on the breakaway. Wolves, we got extremely lucky throughout that whole game to get the points. Again, the only chances we created were late in the game once we were already 1-0 up, and Wolves had to kind of on the counter attack. We created some chances, and yesterday we didn't get that opportunity because it was 0-0 the whole time. They scored the first goal. And we didn't really have one opportunity yesterday. We had one shot. Was Lucas Moura's shot?
One shot, Lucas Moura straight down the throat.
That's it. We didn't have one other even slight opening.
No.
Yesterday.
That's because every time we went forward, it was one man going into their half alone. That's all it was.
Yeah.
Every single player was in our own half. And every time we passed that halfway line, it was either Harry Kane on his own or Lucas Moura on his own.
Which didn't pen
That's
them back
all
at
it was.
all. We didn't pen them back.
I don't understand how Harry Winks keeps getting a game of football.
But look, if Harry Winks plays with Dele and Højbjerg or with an Ndombele, it makes more sense. But why play Winks, Skip and Højbjerg together? Why do that?
I don't understand it.
And Winks on the left-hand side of a centre mid. It doesn't make sense.
In any situation where you have Winks and Skip in the same team.
Why? There was no need for it yesterday. There was absolutely no need for it. So I don't know what he was thinking, Nuno. He was just overcomplicating it. I think he overthought too much about the injury situation and what the squad's in it. He could have just kept as much consistency with the first 3 games as possible with the team selection, and we might have looked a lot more functional than we did yesterday. We just looked so dysfunctional, and it was for the first, as you said, first 15-20 minutes, we were actually pressing quite well. We nicked the ball in their half a few times, and we looked quite dangerous. And then once they started to get hold of the ball, Palace, it's like very similar to last season, like early starts, looking good and then just dropping off and giving possession up and not pressing forward at all. The pressing just left after about 20 minutes. That was it.
When I was speaking to people at half time, everyone's like being, oh, this is rubbish, this is rubbish, this is rubbish. And I was like, look, let's calm down a bit, because every time this season we've looked so much better in the second half. That made me look a right idiot, didn't it?
Yeah, yeah, we looked a lot worse. But to be fair, before the red card, maybe we could have could have happened. You don't know, because I think in the first 15 minutes we looked a bit better than in the first, not a lot better, but a bit better than in the first half. But that red card, obviously, that was a killer.
He made no changes to try and.
I would have brought Ndombele on at half time.
Me too. I thought that game was crying out for Ndombele.
So obvious.
We needed, and against Watford it was as well.
But what's the most annoying thing is that, like, looking at the lineup before the game, it was so obvious what the problems were going to be.
Everyone said it. Everyone said it. Everyone.
It was clear as day what the problems were going to be. I said it in the vlog. I'm not sure about this lineup. It doesn't look great. And then and it pretty much played out exactly how you thought it would play out. Like, just really low, no quality on the ball. Yeah. Rohit Tatineni says, these tactics would fit in with Son in. Makes no sense without him. Need an outlet who would be quick and remove the pressure from the back line. Yeah, I guess if Son was there to play the runs in behind, it might have had more joy than it would have. But still,
I completely agree with that.
But you need to get the ball to Son, and you need the quality there on the pitch. And I felt like the players. I don't know if the players on the pitch were able to move situations to get Son in behind.
There was one moment in the game that was completely, like, just laughable when I think it was Kane and Lucas, or was it Kane and Dele, or one of the two players out of those three. They literally had the whole of the Palace team around them, just trying to play 1-2s around the whole team.
It's impossible.
Like it was like we're back in this playground park again. You know what I mean?
Literally, like you're treating them like you're treating them like their kindergarten.
Literally, it's nuts.
It was never going to happen. It was never going to happen. It was impossible, and that's why I felt bad for the forward players in a sense, because they were just fighting a losing battle from the start. Right from the start, they had no joy whatsoever, and it's because we're not set up in a way to get the best out of them. We're set up in a way to be solid and to make sure we're containing Palace, but not set up a way to hurt them. And once we had the opportunity to hurt them, we just weren't able at all to do any sort of damage to their back line.
Yeah.
And it was painful viewing yesterday. It was really painful viewing.
I mean, it took bloody ages to get there, ages to get back, but at the end of the day, it was great to be back in the away end again.
Yeah, and you know, the away fans were full of voice in the first half. It was great atmosphere. I thought we were doing really well, especially when that whole Tanganga incident happened. It was great fun, but then obviously once the sending off happened, it was tough viewing. It was really tough because you see the goal was going to come any moment once that red card was coming. Yeah. Didn't quite feel it just before the red card, but after the red card, it was obvious. It was only going one way that game.
Yeah.
And but look. You know, we saw how much a team can struggle to break down. Like, you know, when Chelsea went down to 10 men against Liverpool, a much better side than Palace. You saw how Chelsea were able to be compact and not give Liverpool. Liverpool barely had a chance, even when Chelsea had 10 men. They barely had a chance. And we looked nowhere near that, like the kind of level of solidity with 10 men. It looked like it was just a matter of time before. Yeah. But to be fair, it took a stupid penalty for them to score.
It's true, but I was saying kind of... just before the international break, or maybe during the international break, I was saying, look, it's all going great at Tottenham right now. 3 wins out of 3, haven't conceded a goal. I want to see how we react when things go bad. And things went bad yesterday, and we didn't react great. We really didn't. We've got to see how it goes on from here. But the mentality still needs to be better at Tottenham. It still needs to be better.
And now we go against Dyer. Looks like Dyer and Tanganga probably out for Chelsea, with Romero and Sanchez coming back. Literally, this couldn't have happened at a worse time. That's all Romero.
We
Sanchez,
have to play kids against Ren. We have to play kids.
No choice. No, I don't want to see Kane anywhere near that game. But I reckon he's going to play him. You know, I reckon he will play him because he's good. Because who else is he going to play?
Scarlett. Just play Scarlett.
I don't think he will. I don't think he will. I hope he does. I hope he does.
Nah,
I don't know. Because I think, I don't know. It depends how seriously he takes the group stages. I don't know. I'm hoping he doesn't, but I've got a feeling he might play Kane.
I've got a feeling that he's going to start off with kids, especially this week because of the injuries that have been mounting up and the whole quarantine situation and all that. I think he has to. He has to play a young team this week, and if it goes horribly wrong, then he's got the rest of the group stage to make it up. But this week specifically, with all the injuries and everything that's gone wrong, we have to play the kids in the Conference League.
Yeah, it's all gone. Yeah, so this international break could not have gone any worse for Tottenham, could it? With everything that's happened, just as you know, your luck with the whole Romero and Sanchez incident, and then you first came back, we get 2 injuries, and an injury and a suspension. Out centre back position, and it's like we really could have bloody done with Romero and Sanchez yesterday. Like honestly,
they screwed us so much. These
proper screwed us hard. And then Lo Celso as well. We could have done with him massively yesterday, with the creativity issue. You know, I'm sure he would have thought about putting Lo Celso in there if he was going to do that formation yesterday. Lo Celso definitely would have been part of that if he was available.
Instead of who?
Winks. He definitely would have been a part of that.
Why the hell was Winks there anyway?
He shouldn't have been there. But clearly what happened was he doesn't trust Ndombele. He wanted to give Winks an opportunity, so he decided to put Winks there. But I think if Lo Celso was available, Lo Celso would have gone in there for sure. Lo Celso would have gone in there in that formation. So we could have done with him yesterday. And then obviously we have the other injuries as well. To Son, which obviously that's obviously a big miss. And just couldn't have gone any worse, that international break.
Roll on Chelsea.
Yeah.
Roll on Chelsea.
Let's hope we have some players back for them. Bergwijn and Son and whatnot.
We'll have to see. We've got a few super chats to get through. Lion King saying 45 minutes of Tanguy is better than 45 games of Winks.
Yeah, honestly.
Completely agree.
Craig Murdoch says, why are we so harsh on Davis? Never complains, came on with 10 men and played our position as our 6th centre-back. He's a 6 out of 10, but plays for the badge.
Yeah, he plays for the badge, but he does stupid stuff.
Look,
you can't...
As much, I've said this about Davis. Like, when he was younger, 23, 24, 25, he was dependable. He was a 7 out of 10. He wouldn't cost you. But I feel like now, 28, 29, getting to his 30s, he's not as fit anymore. He's not as sharp as he used to be back when he was, in his mid-20s. And he's just a liability now. That's the truth, unfortunately. He is a liability. I can't remember the last good game he had, like really solid game.
He had a few good games last season when he came in for Reguilon when he was injured. I thought he did have a few good games last season, but when we started to overplay him and overwork him, then he kind of let us down.
When he comes up against any sort of quality, he seems to struggle big time, really big time. Well, you can put him in against teams in the bottom half usually. I know even yesterday wasn't, but usually you can, and he probably might be all right. But once you put him against any sort of 10 top halves, I feel like, opposition teams see him as a weakness to target every time, and they just target him. And because they know he doesn't have pace, he's not gonna, he's gonna be quite easy to get around. And it happens every time. Yesterday he came on. I do have sympathy with him because it was difficult playing centre back in that position. But at the end of the day, his handball cost us, and then he also didn't get close enough for Edouard for the second goal as well. So, he
Emerson
came
as well. Emerson completely let who was it go for that third goal? I think it was. Was it the second or the third goal? Emerson completely let that Palace attacker just.
Edouard.
Free, yeah, just completely free. And then he sees Edouard getting the ball and he's like, oh, maybe I should run towards him now.
Yeah. It was a difficult day.
It was a disaster all round, but that is our kind of match review from yesterday. Obviously very hard to take. But I want to see some love in the comments for John Cooper and Bob Spur TV, who was on the watch along and who was on the post-match fan show yesterday. They both did an absolutely incredible job, I must say, and we were very happy to see them do so well in the studio. So everyone show them some love and let us know how you thought the watch along went yesterday with them. And at the moment we've got 625 people, just 79 likes. So everyone smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and we're going to start bringing on some guests in a second. And Brian Daigle there in the comments saying John Cooper and Bob were absolutely outstanding.
Lovely to hear.
And they really were. They really were.
That's good news. And I was watching a bit of it yesterday as well, and they really did seem to anchor the show brilliantly. They were great. They stepped in fantastically. Obviously, we're going to do that more regularly as well over the season. So I'm looking forward to other people coming in and being able to have the chance to host the show as well. A lot of regulars are going to be having that chance. And, it was a great start. And I think Bob, he said he had a great time, which is great to hear. He had a good time on the show, and I can't wait to get him back as well. And we're hoping in the future as well, that we're going to set up the studio so there's going to be able to fit more people in. So it just won't be more. There'll be more than 2 people hopefully in the future. So look forward to that. Just quickly on the game yesterday, as much as we're being negative, and I think rightly so, it's important to note that I think that all is not lost in terms of, yes, the team doesn't look creative at the moment, but in terms of the structure of the team defensively, it's important to know we didn't concede until we went down to 10 men. I still think defensively,
11 and 11, we still haven't conceded.
Exactly. The centre-backs were having a good game. Tanganga and Rodham were having a good game, but before we're sending off. And as if we can continue to somehow have that defensive solidity and become more of a threat going forward, there's still stuff to build on at the moment. It's just we need to get that balance right, and the balance was horribly wrong yesterday. But hopefully you can learn from it, Nuno.
And also a great positive to take that Delhi is turning into a top quality centre back as well. So that's also a great positive to take from it. But Yid Army 44 with the super chat is saying, why the hell didn't Nuno make any attacking changes even when we were 1 down? Why is named Gil and Tanguy in the squad? Why named Gil and Tanguy in the squad really does baffle me, and I completely agree with that. That's exactly what we were saying. And Bob Spur is here in the comments. He says, big up, cheer guys, great time, a shite result.
Did Hill end up coming on yesterday or not? Because I remember he was stripped off twice.
No, he didn't come off.
He was twice stripped off.
I don't think he did come on.
Because I remember he was stripped off with the red card, and then I think with 10 minutes to go, he was stripped off again. But did he actually come on in the end?
No, our only 2 subs were Roden and Davis.
That was it?
Yeah.
So why the hell did he get stripped off twice and not bring him on? Made no sense. Did he not come on for the last 5 minutes or something?
No, he didn't, no. I thought he did as well, but then I looked at it and he didn't.
Yeah, wow. Because he definitely stripped off twice.
He did, yeah.
Wow, so it made no sense. Why not at
Nuno
least
was
go
just
for
all
it?
confused yesterday.
Yeah, and we ended up getting battered 3-0 anyway. So even without throwing a bit of caution to the wind, we still end up getting battered. Yeah. So it made no sense.
All right.
I guess he didn't know what sub to make, because if he brings on Hill for Lucas or Kane, or Delhi, we're taking off an attacking option, and if he takes off Højbjerg or Skip, then we're completely leaving ourselves wide open, and I guess he didn't want to do that. I don't know. We still lost 3-0 anyway, so got it wrong, clearly.
But when your manager doesn't know what changes to make, it doesn't fill you with much confidence, does it?
No, but it was a tough situation.
It was.
It was a tough situation.
Everyone in the stands knew what to do from the start of the game, apart from Nuno.
From the start of the game, yeah, I don't think there's much he could have done once we're 1-0 down to 10 men to change that. I don't think.
I think if he brings on an attacking player and start maybe trying to take the game to them a little bit more, we might get opened up on the counter or something, but at least we might have a chance.
Yeah, we might have a chance. I'm just saying I still unlikely we would have got anything.
Yeah, but at least have a go, you know what I mean? But look, let's start bringing on some people that are waiting in the back to speak to us. I want to know your opinions on the game, and let's start off with Simon Cohen.
Simon!
Hello, boys. How you doing? Not good. I've got chronic backache from yesterday. I'm on the Voltarol. I've had an argument with the wife because of yesterday's result, and they're arguing. I've been kicked out in the garden. I've got chronic backache, and watching that crap yesterday doesn't make you feel any better, does it?
Tell your wife to give you a pass because of the game yesterday.
Oh, I felt sorry for you two going to that game yesterday. What a load of old rubbish I watched yesterday. Utter dross, and that lineup was pathetic.
What did you put it down? What'd you put it down to yesterday? Is it all down to Nuno and in terms of that lineup he did pick?
Well, his team selection, the only person who looked quite good yesterday was Moura. He did try. Kane was a headless chicken. He had no service. I don't know what just all round it just really was people. But no, he made no changes at all. And then obviously the Tanganga thing, getting sent off, went down to 10 men. We knew we were probably. I said to my missus, my son who came around to watch the game, I said, we're going to probably lose now. We're down to 10. We'll probably lose about 1-0. And when they got the goal, I thought that was it, game over. And then we just capitulated after that. Went flapping all over the place. His kicking out was terrible. He was flapping at corners and crosses. It was just, as soon as Dar went off with that injury, thanks to Lloris, it wasn't going to be our day, kind of. But it was just really poor. But losing 3-0 against Palace, Jesus bloody Christ, says it all, doesn't it? Really, we were bad. We were terrible.
So we went into this game after a quite disastrous international break with injuries and players missing and all that kind of stuff.
Those idiots going out. Yeah,
exactly.
Those three
Romero and Sanchez. We could have played done with them yesterday, couldn't we? Is there any sympathy from that end from Nuno?
Yeah, No. Well, yeah, yeah. Obviously, they were told not to go, and they went, and they didn't listen, did they? Thought, right, okay, we'll go and get on with it. But Romero's been there 5 minutes, and he's already pissing off already. Great start to his Spurs career, isn't it? He said, "I want to play for Spurs. I want to play for Spurs," and then he stabs him in the back by pissing off. Like with Lo Celso and Sanchez. Geez, I'm very more disappointed with Romero doing what he done. But it's not. It was.
Yeah,
I mean, who are we going to play centre back against? Who is our centre back pairing going to be against Chelsea?
Well, I don't know. Would you? Well, who's it going to be? Are they going to put Sanchez and Romero? Can they? They can play next week. Can they be put in or not?
Well, I mean, they get back. They get back the day before the Chelsea game.
So they're not really going to play, are they? Really, it's going to be what? It's going to be who's it going to be? Roden and Ben Davies, the centre half. Is that our only options we got? Is it Tanganga can't play? We're going to done with him marking Lukaku next week. Now he's out. So we're really in the mine.
Cameron Carter-Vickers scored on his debut yesterday for Celtic.
But he's up at Celtic. He was man in a match up at Celtic yesterday. That's his level, isn't it? And we got the Arsenal the week after. Things ain't going to get any better, are they? Arsenal could be on 9 points like us in the next couple of weeks if we lose our next 2 games.
Yeah.
So
do you think yesterday?
No, not changing it yesterday.
You think yesterday was a bit of a reality check after the first 3 games, or do you think maybe?
Ben Sim, we're not good enough. We haven't improved that squad at all, have we? Are we any better now than we were when we finished last season with the squad? You tell me, are we any better? Looking at it, we haven't replaced.
You can't argue we are. I don't think you can argue we are.
We're not, like I said. I just don't think our squad's any better than last season. I really don't. It's like for like, innit? Gill's come in for Lamela. All right, Gill looks a good player, but he's a replacement for Lamela. We haven't replaced Bale. We haven't played Vinicius, and Kane's going to get flogged to death. And he'll pull up in the next couple of weeks. Sod's law, and then we've got Son out at the moment. So really, I can't see any different this season to last season. I really can't. Play the kids on Thursday night and see how they get on with it. Because I don't want to see Kane out there. But knowing Nuno, he'll probably play Kane on Thursday night. He'll pick up a knock. You wait and see. It's it's not good. All right, we've had 3 victories. I get that. The performances haven't been that great, but. We've got Chelsea coming up. I mean, that could, all right, we could beat him. Who knows? We could. You never know, do we? The crowd behind us. But I'm not putting any money on it that we're going to turn Chelsea over. Are you? Next weekend?
No, I mean, I'm not holding much confidence.
It's just after seeing that dross yesterday, it was utter dross and Winks and. All right, Holberg's a good player. We know Skip's a good player, but what the hell was Winks playing for? All right, then Dembele, just get him on. Let's see what he can do for half an hour. Start the bloke and see how it pans out, or take him off at half time. But starting Winks and not changing it, or bringing Gill on the second half, it was like 0-0, or we go 1 down. At least he can make a couple of changes or something, and bringing that bloody clown on Davis. But it's just a bad day. Like I said, I've got chronic backache. My wife's giving me jip, and I watching that dross yesterday. So my weekend's been crap.
Yeah,
but anyway, I can see Brian Daigle coming up, so he'll put a smile on my face, because I can certainly do with it after watching that run at the end of the season. I know it's a long way off. Well, where are we going to end up by the end of the season? It's going to be the same as last season. Yeah.
You want the season to end already after
it's going to be the same,
3 wins and 1 defeat? You want the season to end already?
I mean, at the end of the day, Man United...
I think it's just going to pan out this season. Well, it depends what we might do in January if we do anything. We need to get another striker in to help Kane out. Ball sideways. So where's the goal? Where goals coming from yesterday? You could tell me probably the lineup was like, say, I'll take a point, whatever. But when we went 1 down, we need you to bring Ndombele and Gill on just to get up the other end a bit more, because Kane was nowhere to be seen because he had no service. And you don't expect Winks, Holberg,
Simon, I think you need to move a bit. I think you need to move a bit closer to your router. You're a bit too laggy, so I think we're going to have to move on.
All right, mate. All right. You carry on. I'll speak to you soon.
All right. Thanks for coming on, Simon. I'll speak to you soon. That was Simon. I'm sorry. His wife's kicked him out of the house, so I think he's a bit too far away from the router. But Maria Williams with the super chat saying, we had no plan when it went wrong. With 10 men, we could have changed the way we played. And with Gill and Mora, try and hit them on the break. Rather lose trying than lose like we did. back, guys. Sorry about that, but it should be much better now. But let's move on to the great Brian Dahill. Brian.
Could have done with Dakhil yesterday.
Yeah, tell me about it.
I'm nice and relaxed from not coming off the bench yesterday.
Yeah.
He was stripped
hell,
off twice. I don't know what happened there, Brian. He was stripped off twice to come on just before the red cards. I understand why he put off that one. But then he was stripped off again 10 minutes to go, and he decided against it again. I didn't get that.
Yeah, I mean, I read that. I didn't actually see that, but I read that, and I just don't understand. I mean, once we saw Zaha down the right doing everything he did, Gil would have been the person to bring it on to counteract it for us and have a Maverick there to cause some trouble, because we didn't cause any. The only trouble we caused was Lloris's pass to Dyer. That's the only trouble we caused.
That's what caused. That's what started the day in terms of awful. But it all started going wrong because of that moment. Because Lloris overruns a pass to Dyer. Dyer's overstretching, injures himself. He goes off. Then they have to more change in the back line, and then Tanganga gets sent off, and then all of a sudden Davies comes on the centre back, and then it all went to shit. But in terms of Nuno's setup and his team selection, is he just guilty of overcomplicating things, or what do you think of it?
He's guilty of. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we all know where I place the blame personally, and we'll deal with that in a minute. But it was a very negative team line that he put in. He really did overcomplicate it. Gil should have come on. I mean, like I said, I didn't want Gil to start because I think we've got to nurture him and not just throw him into the wolves. But we didn't bring him on at all. Ndembele should have come on.
Should have thrown him to the Eagle.
Very good, Ben. Very, very good. But the one that I think we really got to talk about, and I said it a lot on your show, on the great, and I have to say once again, John Cooper and Bob Spur were honestly phenomenal, and I can't wait to get there to see what this fascination is with that black rug, because Bob could not stop stroking it. I've seen his so yeah, so I'm looking forward to doing that, Ben, and becoming part of the club. But the one I talked about yesterday that I think we need to talk about mainly is I think we need to drop Hugo Lloris. I really do.
Really?
Why? Based on yesterday?
Isn't that a bit reactionary, Brian? Because he's been pretty good so far this season.
Exactly, but pretty good is not good.
No, I think he's been great. I think he's been great since the first 3 games.
I love Hugo. And I remember I was on your show a couple of days ago and we were saying about the contract, and I was like, Galini's here to challenge. And if we look at it, we all know his distribution is shocking and absolutely shocking. He's putting it nicely. And it's caused a huge injury, which I don't know if we had an update, but that does not look good for Dyer. In all honesty,
no,
that looks like a couple of months minimum. From observation, obviously, he's flapping at everything. He's fisting things when he should catch them quite regularly. And okay, but when you've got a competition for places there, it's there for that exact reason. If someone makes a mistake or has a bad game, you bring someone in. Now, Galini will play, obviously, against Rennes. And I would imagine he'll play the Carabao Cup game as well. I could see Hugo playing Chelsea. I don't see him being dropped for that. But I think Hugo's one more game away where it's got to be a serious conversation. Where if it was me, obviously I'm not Nuno, I would start Galini from now until Galini makes a mistake.
Yeah, but Brian, look, goalkeepers essentially make mistakes. I mean, last season, Alisson was making mistake after mistake for 3 or 4 games straight. They didn't take him out of the team. They put their trust in him, and now he's back to being one of the best goalkeepers, if not the best in the Premier League. I mean, why is it any different for Hugo Lloris? I think that with Hugo Lloris, I think that his mistakes always get polarised. Always get looked into so much more than any other keeper, and I just don't get it because he's a top quality keeper, and he still is.
Like I said, Ben, I love Hugo. I love him, and I think he's been a fantastic servant, and he makes some outstanding, incredible saves. But what you're saying as well with Liverpool is right. Liverpool had loads of injuries in their defence yesterday. Last season, but they also had the attacking players to score goals and get them out of trouble, and that's how they finished third. Whereas at the moment, as we know, with our squad being so depleted, we're not creating anything. Yeah. So if we're not creating, and Hugo's doing that with flapping things and whatever, then our defence is going to be more under stress. And right now, the one thing we can't have is our defence under any more stress than it is with all these players out. So I understand what you're saying. And like I said, I put my hands up to being a huge Hugo Lloris fan. But it gets to the point now where we can't just say, like we're talking about the Deadwood. I'm not saying Hugo is Deadwood, but I'm saying we can't have this sentiment that, oh, he's been a great servant. Yeah, he's had a couple of great games. You bring in strength in depth, because if someone does play badly, then someone comes in. That's why you get strength in depth. So when someone is not playing at their best, they're dropped for us to give someone else a chance. Or if Galini's performing in training as well, then I think he deserves a chance.
Yeah, I can't see anything Hugo did massively. I know, yeah, he didn't look great yesterday, Hugo, but I don't think he was any sort of reason why we lost the game or weren't looking good in the game yesterday. You know, I don't think he did anything apart from that pass to Dyer, and then he also misjudged the cross.
Exactly. Well, we say it all went downhill from that moment.
Yeah, it did, but let's know it did. It went downhill.
Brian, it all went downhill from Nuno's selection. That's when it all went downhill.
That'll give you. That'll give you. I mean, also, Sylvia, I know you and me were talking about at half time. We were talking in the group about Harry Kane's performance.
Yeah.
And obviously, as I said to you, you guys got to see a lot better than what we did because you were there, and we got to see only got what the camera seen. But again, it's kind of like in these games, this is where Harry Kane has to grab games by the scruff of the neck and say, right, listen, I'm going to make things happen. If we're not creating, I'm going to drop deep and create. But again, there's no Son to run onto. There's no attacking person to run onto.
Yeah, go on. Sorry, go on.
So, yeah, I mean, yes, he didn't get the service, but people like Harry Kane need to make themselves visible and start making a better influence in the game. Again, Harry Kane is a great player, loving world class, and I just hope he starts scoring. But we can't just say, oh, Hugo and Kane, they've been incredible for us. They're great servants and they're away from criticism.
No, they're not. They're not away from criticism. They're not away from criticism. But I think when it comes to Kane and Lloris yesterday, what I saw was two players. Maybe look, they didn't have their best games yesterday, but I didn't see them as the main issue yesterday as to why we struggled so badly against this Palace side. I saw much more very worrying structural issues in the team as why we couldn't get the best out of someone like Harry Kane. We couldn't get him involved because of the issues in the squad. It was literally like Kane and Lucas against their whole defence pretty much the whole game. That's not a way to set up a team to get the best out of Kane. What do you expect Kane to do? Take on all their defenders, all their defence the whole game and just get goals out of nothing all the time. It's not practical. You need to create situations that opens up space for Harry Kane so you can get the most out of him. And or if he is going to have the ball, you need to create situations where there's runners for him to play the ball in behind and stuff like that. Well, he was literally, when it was Kane on the ball, he had pretty much only Lucas to aim at. And when it was Lucas on the ball, he pretty much only had Kane to aim at. And you know how easy to defend that is? It's so easy to defend. Anyone could defend it like that.
I mean, again, Simeon, on that, again, you're right. And let's be honest, Crystal Palace was superb yesterday. We may have been bad, but Crystal Palace had a bit between their teeth. They were young, they were energised, they were playing well. But then we go down to, as you were going down that road, the strength in depth and the lack of positions that we need.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was you or Ben, as we are talking about, like the tweet that I put out today. But I'm just basically, this is my Facebook memory from 10 years ago. To this day, this is 10 years ago. Now, forget the position, because this position we're covered, but we've got the defensive. But to see if this sounds familiar. Well, bravo, you bloody idiot, Mr. Daniel Levy. Every single first man was pointing out the obvious fact that not only do we need one Gary Cahill, we suddenly well need him as we're short in defence. Then, surprise, surprise, the transfer window closes, and what do you know, Michael Dawson himself, our captain, is out for 2 months with an injury. Give yourself a pat on the back, you bloody numpty. That was 10 years ago.
Nothing changed.
Exactly. So when I mean, yesterday there was a load of people calling for Nuno out. There's loads of
no, they're just idiots. You're calling for Nuno out at this point.
That's what I'm saying. That these people that go on straight away and say that, it's like, yes, he's had a bad game. Yes, he was absolutely his team selection was absolutely shocking. But again, you're aiming it at the wrong person. This is what we're trying to get at, because this scenario is just going to keep repeating itself, where someone else comes in and tries to do it, and this happens again and again and again. Don't get me wrong. When it comes to the way the players played on the pitch, it's 100%. It's 1,000,000,000% Nuno's fault. But they're not having the strength in depth, apart from defence, because it was a freak injury. These injuries we have, and the COVID things with the South American boys. Apart from that, everything else is down to strength in depth, and that's down to one man.
Yeah, absolutely. But in terms of yesterday, without that red card, do you still think we lose the game, or was there a chance we could have got something out of it?
Well, I mean, do you remember I spoke to you both and I said I hate going to Palace. For me, this is like one of the hardest games, away games of the season for us. I can't stand this game. And do you know what, first of all, Tanganga was reckless. I mean, I loved the first one. It showed a bit of a fight and whatever. It was immature or whatever, but it really put a marker down. And then
Well, the first
it
one,
was
he was
just,
defending Lucas because Lucas was
yeah,
down injured. They carried on playing, wasn't he? That's what
exactly.
kind of happened, yeah.
And then the second one was just a rush of blood to the head, and it's going to happen. And he's a youngster; he's going to learn from it, and we go from there. But do you know what? I even think if the team had stayed as it was at 11 men, I still would have been happy with the draw. But I reckon if Hill had come on, or Ndembele, or both, that could have drastically changed. But if we hadn't made the changes, I couldn't see us getting anything from it. At most, a draw.
And in terms of Emerson yesterday, had a tough time up against Wilfried Zaha, especially when we went down to 10 men. Did you see anything, maybe any positives from him, maybe when it was 11v11 when he had in the first half or anything like that, or was it a worrying debut for you?
It's a bit of both. At the start, I thought it was quite strong. I thought it was quite strong in the first half, in the first 25 minutes, but then I don't know if it's lack of fitness or not knowing the team or being the Premier League, being the pace that it is. He seemed to tire very, very quickly, and then
It felt like a confidence thing for me.
No, for me, I just felt like we were down to 10 men. He was stretched.
You know what it is, Tim? You know, it's as well when you have your first game, it's like, all right, you're away to Palace and you're going to be marking Wilfried Zaha. It's not exactly like the easiest game you're going to ever have, especially with, and you guys will know it. That Palace crowd are insane when they're up. They especially, I don't know what that stand is that's behind the goal where they were scoring in the second half, where there's that corner section where they're just absolutely non-stop.
Yeah,
it's a very hostile place. So. I think it'll get better. First half was reasonable. I'm quite happy, but the second half, like you said, Simeon, it was worrying. But then when we got down to 10 men, it was also more worrying. But you're going to have that with Zaha as well, anyway.
yeah. All right, Brian.
Right.
Massive big up to you, and looking forward to seeing you in London and also in this studio very soon.
Correct, mate. Correct.
Got a tough act to follow with Bob.
Oh, mate, that's what I said yesterday. Not that I'm counting. I've got 12 hours and 22 minutes till I fly.
Oh, wow.
Not that I'm counting or anything. But yeah, so I will be home at 8:55, guys. If you see a random English number, call you or whatever, it'll be my WhatsApp staying Canada, but I'm going to get my UK number. So if you get I'll just bloody hell, I'll WhatsApp you my English number so you know.
No
Jesus
problem.
Christ, that's so hard for me to say. Bloody hell.
You must be very excited, Brian.
Well, I've been bouncing off the walls. My wife is probably just going to kick me out the car when we get to the airport. And my cat has woken me up at 2 o'clock and then at 5 o'clock in the morning. And
Again?
go back.
That cat's like an alarm clock, that cat.
Mate, he's so adorable, but he just, when he wants feeding, don't mess with him. But I've got 6 weeks where our cat's not going to wake me up at 6 a.m. So who cares? Who cares? Poor wifey. That's my gift to her. 6 weeks of being woken up at 6 a.m. But guys, listen, I will see you soon. Love you all. And as always, Levy out.
Out.
Nice one, mate.
Big up, Brian. As always, we got another legend in the back end called Wakaz. Let's bring him on.
Wakaz. Big up Wakaz.
Wakaz, the legend. How you doing, my friend?
I wish it could have been better. Wait, can you hear?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay.
But Wakaz, talk to me about why do you think it all went so wrong yesterday?
Here we go. Firstly, when you saw the starting 11, you could have had a feeling that something like this would have happened. I still can't do my math homework yet, but I know that you can play Wing, Skip, and Højbjerg three DMs at once.
100%.
You just can't do that. Wings doesn't offer anything. He was disappointing once again, but I didn't expect much from him. Skip, he was average as well.
Yeah.
Højbjerg was average. And same thing with the Delhi. I think Nuno got it so wrong because you've got a natural left winger, someone who is meant to be on the left wing in Brian Gill, and you've got Delhi, who I don't think he's played left wing in a while, and it's obviously not his most comfortable position.
Oh.
Play the Gill. I don't know. That's like I don't know. Like I disagree with that. I think Gill should have started. Kane has been disappointing. I think he was one of the worst players on the pitch. Nuno, like Nuno doesn't have the balls to drop Kane or sub him off. Because I'm sure that Kane will start against Rennes. I don't know, because Kane, as you could see from his performance, he doesn't look committed. And the same thing with Hongi, he's not committed as well, but he's being treated like garbage, and he's not being picked to the squad. But Kane, who's doing like kind of the same thing, he's being picked. It's very like I know Ndombele and Kane are both very different players, but if you treat someone like Ndombele like that, you should do the same for Kane. I'm not saying drop him out of the squad or anything. I'm just saying that you should sub him off with like.
For who? We had no strikers. We have literally no one else.
I'd rather Scarlett at this point, but obviously, that wasn't the change that I'd really want. I would rather Ndombele or Gil on. We were meant to sub on Gil 3 times. I heard.
Mm-hmm. 3 times. 3 times. I saw twice. I saw he was stripped off twice.
I think Alistair Gold said something yesterday that he was meant to be on twice, but he wasn't. And obviously with the Dyer injury, he's off. Tanganga with a red card. But I guess my prediction was right. We didn't win.
Yeah.
So obviously now, when you think things couldn't get any worse, we faced Chelsea, Rodon, and Davis, I think, against Lukaku, Ziyech, Mount. However, it's gonna be.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it right now. We've got a week. We've got a week to build up to this game. I can't even think about that right now. I mean, it's just so. The only thing I can say is sometimes when you think all is lost, Tottenham pull through for you sometimes. I mean, nobody gave us a hope in hell against Man City first game of the season, and we won that game. I mean, is there any chance that we can get anything out of that Chelsea game?
Well, there obviously is a chance, but the differences between the City game and the Chelsea game, isn't the Chelsea game at Stamford Bridge as well? I think it is.
No, it's at Tottenham.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, but what I was gonna say, that we've got many injuries, and Davis at centre back, that does not really seem we've got many players injured, and we just lost 3-0 to Palace, so I wouldn't be as confident. But there's one positive from the Palace game, though.
What's that?
So obviously, it was an early kickoff. I'm from the Middle East, so most of the games are like later on in the day. So
I see. That's the only good thing you can tell me about the game yesterday.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
But Wakaz, fine. That's really great call once again. You are one of the legends of We Are Tottenham TV, so thank you so much for coming on, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
See you soon, Wakaz.
See you. I've got a super chat here from Joe Games Ang saying, how can I call in, appear in the stream? The link is in the community section for all members. But is there anyone waiting in the back end right now? So that is it. That's a stream which I wasn't looking forward to be honest. Last night over and done with. You're going to have match review clip from this channel uploaded very shortly, and player ratings and 5 takeaways to come your way today to put an end to a terrible, terrible weekend from start to finish. Not only did we get battered 3-0 from Crystal Palace, Arsenal got their first win of the season. Eric Dyer.
Bob says he was waiting.
Oh, is he waiting, Bob?
Can you let him in? Is he in? Can't let him in. Apparently, are you not waiting anymore, Bob? I don't know. Don't know what's going on.
Bob, are you still in the back end? Let us know in the comments, but we're literally about to end the show, so let us know very soon.
Hopefully in the future we learn from this, and I don't know, it was a difficult day, and it was a real reality check into how strong and where we actually are as a squad. But in terms of going forward, hopefully this is kind of a learning curve as opposed to a in terms of us actually being exposed for what we actually are. I'm hoping that yesterday isn't evidence of that we are as bad, that we are a lot worse than we might have thought after the first 3 games of the season. But I don't know. I'm worried it might be. But you've got to remember, there's still a lot of injuries. You've got a lot of players coming to the squad. Hopefully, Nuno finds a way of getting more creative players into the squad, and we can show that we're more than just defensive solidity, and we can actually can have ability to get forward and create chances and be a threat to teams, and not just be defensively solid and looking to get a goal out of somewhere, like a penalty or a cross that goes straight in and stuff like that. So
it's just way too pragmatic at the moment.
Yeah, Nuno's got to figure that out. He said, at least he said yesterday, the chances created was a big problem, and it has been a big problem for us throughout the season. It's something they need to rectify. So at least he's identifying the problem. That's all we can ask him, and he needs to somehow rectify it. So we'll see how he does during the season. But at the moment, at the start of the season, remember, it's only 4 games in, so no need to panic yet. But it's something we definitely need to, we lose a couple more games, we probably will, but we definitely need to sort it out sooner rather than later, because things can go downhill very, very quickly.
Yeah, I completely agree. Just before we go, is Bob waiting? Can you see him there? No?
I don't know what's going on, Bob. It doesn't.
All right, sorry about that, Bob, but we can't seem to see you. I mean, he sent me a picture here of. It says waiting to join the conversation and a spinny thing. Are you sure it's not? He's not like in the bottom left. No. Oh, I'm sorry about that, Bob, but we can't get you on. But hopefully we can get you back on tomorrow morning, and we can run through a few things. But thank you, everyone, for watching. And once again, a massive, massive, massive big up to Bob and John for yesterday, for running the watch-along. And hopefully to see Bob back on a watch-along very soon. I know you all loved him and all enjoyed seeing him and watching him through everything yesterday. So big up to you two. Not so much of a big up to Nuno and the Tottenham team yesterday. But hopefully we can move forward from this and learn from these mistakes that we have made. But we do have Chelsea next, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Learn fast.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you, everyone. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.